25 start on a Sunday in Northeast Ohio. Probably the most disappointing effort of the season last week for the Cleveland Browns. The Baltimore Ravens coming in, a team certainly on an upswing. And if you're a football fan, you could probably get into this game for less than $10 right now. This is where the Cleveland Browns are at currently. And I think a lot of us just understand this team isn't very good right now, but could they at least just go out and be competitive? Browns Ravens Week 11 preview on the OBR streaming network begins now. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound Browns 3D on the OBR streaming network. I am your host, Jeff Lloyd. We appreciate all of you who come to the OBR daily for the best content there is in relation to the Cleveland Browns. The written content at the OBR.com, our fantastic group of writers. The team may be lacking, but the work at the OBR is not. So make sure you were checking out all the content from the crew. Of course, while you were there looking at the insider package, Lane Adkins been pumping some information out. Recently, we're getting to the point where we're starting to maybe hear some glimpses of what teams may be thinking. The teams who may be on the outside of the 2025 playoffs, of course, that is. So looking at the insider package, insider forums, ask the insiders, and of course, your subscription gets bundled with Paramount Plus. UFC action will blow you away come January. And to everybody who joins us here nightly for the OBR streaming network, beginning at 6 o'clock with Browns 3D, we could not be more thankful for all of you that come out, and we're certainly appreciative of you all. If you're not, make sure you subscribe to the OBR on YouTube, and of course, make sure you are subscribed to the OBR over on Twitch. Injury reports. What we can tell you to this point is Alex Wright will be out for this game. Alex Wright was clarified a little further by Coach Kevin Stefanski. In the beginning of the week, the question was whether or not Alex Wright would be a possibility to go to IR. After practice today, Coach Stefanski poo-pooed that and put it on the back burner as to not happening. Denzel Ward not feeling very well today. That is not going to stop Denzel Ward from playing on Sunday, however. And Malik Collins, little something with the oblique, is going to carry a questionable status into Sunday. And as we all know, Malik Collins has been one of the better performers for the Cleveland Browns this year to this point. For the visiting Baltimore Ravens, out wide receiver Rashad Bateman. He's been out all week with an ankle injury. Late injury addition in the week, Mike Green, rookie defensive end, limited on Thursday with an ankle, did not practice today, will carry a questionable status. Jaden Higgins, core special teamer for the Baltimore Ravens, will be out, has not practiced all week. He has a knee. Justice Hill with a toe will be out as well this week. Marlon Humphrey had a metal rod inserted into his finger, and he will be out this week as well. So injury report-wise, obviously it's a bit advantageous for the Browns. We know Justice Hill has been a killer. Marlon Humphrey is always finding a way to make plays against, obviously against the Cleveland Browns. We'll see on Mike Green, but for the Browns, product may not be that great right now, but at least it's somewhat of a healthy product. I'm sure all of you through, Twitter X have kind of been following some things going on, of course, in regards to the quarterbacks and, what may or may not being said. My one thing with this, and, I'm not here to take a side on anything, I'm just here to talk, is the fact that basically what you're hearing from the Browns is that Shedeur Sanders is not really getting any meaningful reps within practice. So I'm not necessarily sure how anyone is taking anyone who's at these practices, players, coaches, etc., is taking such a hard stance that Sanders looks imminently better. I just don't know how that could possibly be. Also, coaches divided. These coaches, stop. There is not a coach inside the buildings in Maria that believe Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders are it. What you're getting is you are getting manipulated information. And whatever information is being taken in then kind of gets turned into a storyline from there. Nobody in that building thinks these quarterbacks are any good. You ever seen? Look at Coach Stefanski when he gets asked about the quarterbacks. You can see it in his face. Neither one of these guys are any good. Can maybe they salvage a win or two for the rest of the season out of one of these guys? Sure. These guys are good. They're not good. Oh, no. Shedeur Sanders isn't playing. There's got to be a reason. He's not good. Dylan Gabriel's not playing well. Oh, crap. We're all watching with our own two eyes. We know he's not very good. We know he's not very consistent. When you are in the content business, it's very difficult when you're covering a specific team. For your content to be successful in what would be concerned how this works. I've been covering this team full time since 2017. What can I tell you? And it's very simple. Fans care less about their team when they are not successful. It's not rocket science, man. 2018 is when the old show went off the charts. 2019 went right back down the toilet. 2020 and a lot of it had to do with content. I mean, had to do with COVID at the time, believe it or not. COVID was good for podcast business for everybody. Podcasts became 10 times more popular during COVID. 21, not so good. 22, not so good. 23 was outstanding. Last year, not so much. This year started kind of promising, but now it's tough. When the team is losing, folks just kind of turn away. You can still watch the games, and I think most still keep a regular keeping in through social media and stuff like that. But fans thirst for even more of their team when they're not good. It's just not there. To be somebody who covers these teams, it's hard too. Chad, Pete Smith, we talk about this all the time. And Pete, you don't choose the assignment. The assignment is what it is. And unfortunately, right now it's not very good. And because of the overall product not being so great, there's definitely a lot of things that are being missed. And I think that people just don't generally care about. I think people are generally happy with the Browns rookie class. But are they going to seek it out extra more Browns coverage, soak in every Browns podcast, read every article there is? Nah. Unfortunately, it's just kind of the way it goes. So you don't have to go to try to twist and manipulate whatever little information you have into something more than it is not. At least I won't. It's disingenuous. And, it's essentially lying. It is. But to each their own. Jeff Lloyd, Browns pregame show. Of course, appreciate y'all. Ravens coming to town. And as we all know, in week 2, 41-17, didn't start very good. And then just a couple of mistakes, crucial running into the kicker penalty. Defense played well for as long as they could hold on. Did give up 41, of course. That is when we got to see Dillon Gabriel for the first time in a little mop-up duty. Threw his first touchdown pass that day. If you guys remember, it was a little, corner, Dylan Sampson. That was the debut of Quinshon Judkins, which I thought really, really felt forced at the time. And it's one thing I guess I was glad I was wrong on. Quinshon, it was 9 for 61 that day. I think something like that. But most of that was aided by, a pretty significant run in the fourth quarter. Yeah. This Ravens team has gotten really more consistent over the last few weeks with their overall play. And all of a sudden, what was once such a glaring lead for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC North, between their own play and obviously the elevated play of the Baltimore Ravens. This AFC North is still very much up for grabs between those two teams. And I would say it's probably really Baltimore's division to lose. It will come down to the Steelers-Ravens games, which it has so many times in years past. The Ravens defense doesn't have the bite it used to. Really, they just don't have that overall play and strength in units. I like their secondary. Marlon Humphrey will be out. Roquan Smith missed some time. When we saw Roquan Smith week 2, I'm not going to lie, Roquan Smith looked overweight when we saw him in week 2. Had a great game. Had a boatload of tackles. But, I actually made the joke. I thought he looked pregnant. The defensive line is nothing like some Ravens defensive lines used to be in the past. The Browns have to attack this. And this is one thing I will give them credit for in that Jet game is, I think the effort was there to try to open things up a little bit. It didn't feel like everything was just so clamped down. And, if you're putting Gabriel out there, you got to trust him. You got to trust him. Obviously, the accuracy on Sunday, and then once the weather picked up, certainly got worse and worse as it went on. But you can't just go out there and run a rudimentary offense and expect to have any success. At least last week. And we were laughing a lot of these bad balls, of course. Yes. Worm burners. Somebody left a comment on that, and thank you for that. It's just overall bad throws. But at least you could see the play calling, the design was actually there to maybe succeed. Execution, however, team needs to run the ball with, and I don't mean run it, in an insane bonkers amounts. They need to run the ball with more success. And I think the only way that's truly going to happen is if they can get some semblance of a passing game going. As Pete and I talked last week on the post-game show, everything that teams are doing right now defensively to the Cleveland Browns and Dillon Gabriel, they're trying to keep everything within the tackle zone. So the defense has 100 defenders there. You're trying to rattle them, obviously. You're trying to rattle Dillon Gabriel and force him to play at a quicker pace, which is one of the things that we appreciated about Dillon Gabriel. What we got to see in the summer is it felt like he was playing on time. Now he's trying to play faster, but, putting your head down. But all of this congestion within the offensive line viewing It's done for exactly the reason you think it's being done, to make a small quarterback look and play smaller. There's just too much going on. There's too much traffic. Cannot find his guys. If he does find his guys, it's too late. Or he's so rattled, it doesn't matter, like the 4th-and-1 play. That 4th-and-1 play against the Jets on Sunday, Gabriel dips his head down. As he's dipping his head down, he should have been, which would have been the most natural movement for him. Here was the pass rush, and his guy had the block. Cam Robinson had the block. Dylan Gabriel gets out of the pocket to his strong side. He's probably got 3 receivers on 1 defender with a run option. He could have just rolled out, tucked it, pointed at the defender to let his guys know he was keeping the ball. Probably could have been a 20, 25-yard run. Or could have just challenged the line of scrimmage, waited for the defensive back to commit to any one of 3 guys, and then simply thrown it to one of the other 2. The criticisms of Dylan Gabriel are certainly fair when we were fed the information from the Browns about, how intelligent, computer brain, all of these things. Because some of the play you're seeing right now from Dylan Gabriel, and I think that's the part that hurts a little bit more, is it hurts because, you felt like you were sold a lemon, so to speak. The guy to watch probably for this Ravens team right now on defense, and he's always been a special player, and he's certainly been a thorn in the side of the Cleveland Browns, but he's even getting better, and the Ravens are using him in even more unique and impactful creative ways, and that's Kyle Hamilton. When you got a safety that's probably 6'3", and at this point in his life, in his career, Kyle Hamilton's probably closer to 230 pounds. They're literally lining him up at the edge. But the thing in the way they're doing it is they're lining him up at the edge, and just some of the things he can do there from the edge. He can line up and basically be in a stance in a spot where you would assume he's coming off the edge as a pass rusher and still play the nickel from there. Has the range, the foot speed, and the length to still affect plays going outside of him. Chasing guys down, forcing fumbles. He is such a unique and really good player. I was actually messaging with a friend the other day, and we were trying to come up with a way to describe Hamilton. And it was probably, and what we came up with is probably what Washington should have done with the late, great Sean Taylor. It was great that Sean Taylor was this great, over the top safety and, had all those skills to create all those turnovers. But if Sean Taylor was playing today, you would take a player of that ability and you try to get him as close to the line of scrimmage as you possibly could. Sure, 3rd and long, whatever, that type of stuff, that's fine. But when you have such a unique chess piece of a defensive player, you want him as close to the line of scrimmage as possible because you want him involved, hopefully, in every aspect. You got to run the ball. You got to throw the ball with a higher completion percentage success rate. It's the only way this offense can put together some consistent drives. And hopefully, you don't have to score with Baltimore like the way you used to in the past. They're not playing at that level offensively right now. But you've got to find a way to crack 20, which hasn't been that easy to do this year. Jeff Lloyd, OBR Streaming Network, Browns. Ravens Week 11 preview. Thanks everybody for being here. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to the OBR on YouTube, and of course the OBR over on Twitch as well. Defensively, now it feels like we've paid Lamar Jackson 1,000 times at this point. But the older he gets, and certainly has been dinged up this year, and it's not that he still can't, and it's not that there still isn't the threat of it there. But I think as Lamar has grown and matured, I think he's found a way to kind of keep the impact his legs can bring to a game kind of like, an ace in the back pocket type of thing. In the earlier parts of his career, Lamar was just running all over the field and just wreaking havoc. I think he's grown and obviously taken some hits over the years. And, I'm going to save that for when I absolutely need it. And I think that had a lot to do, obviously, with the acquisition of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is not King Henry anymore. I'm not sure if he's even Prince Henry anymore. I never understood it at the time when Baltimore did it, because the one thing the Ravens have always done forever had run the ball well. And it was never necessarily big name brand guys. So the fact that they made that move didn't make much sense to me at the time. I never thought it was going to be something that, you didn't look at it and say, well, this is the move that's finally going to get the Ravens from a team that consistently gets to the playoffs to a team that gets to the Super Bowl. Browns absolutely handled him week 2. Get penetration. If you can get penetration against Derrick Henry, there's just nothing he can do. The quicks he doesn't have anymore, so he can't get outside like he could in the older days. Still a handful to bring down, and you better to bring a buddy. But he's just not the player he was. Now, you leave him, there's open spaces. Like an 18-wheeler, he's going to pick up steam, and, people are just going to start bouncing off of him. That's not going to change, of course. The offensive line is playing better. I don't know if I would say it was good, but the offensive line is playing better than it was. Zay Flowers still scares the daylights out of me. He's been a handful for the Browns in his time down in Baltimore. Great electric, quick route runner. And when the ball is in his hands, he just can make things happen. Very, very special run after catch ability with Mr. Zay Flowers. They're working Isaiah Likely back in. But it has been funny, though, over the last couple of weeks that the Ravens are, kind of getting it going, finding a way to probably go ahead and win this division and get themselves to January. Death taxes and Mark Andrews, man, right? Lamar Jackson will be in his 60s. And if you put him anywhere in the vicinity of Mark Andrews in a close situation, he will find a way to get the ball to the back end line and get the ball to Mark Andrews for a touchdown. And God knows Mark Andrews has probably made a lot of money in the NFL just off his games against the Cleveland Browns. It's been a menace. Absolute menace for this team to handle. Myles Garrett had a sack and a half week 2 against Baltimore. Now at 11 for the season, and I believe that is the league lead. He's had his days against Baltimore. He has. And for the most part, Myles has been smart in his pursuits of Lamar. Not going out of control and getting taken advantage of by the Ravens signal caller. Because Lamar Jackson will dupe the daylights out of you. He will absolutely make you think you got something. And then that's where that, guy who was probably never tagged it in the schoolyard a day in his life just starts taking advantage of and making fun of you, basically. This isn't, obviously a difficult task, in my opinion, this week for the Browns defense. You're home. You know this team extremely well. The Ravens don't give you anything that, wows you, scares you, or. And I'm not trying to say they play vanilla. They know who they are, and they feel that the best version of them is better than the best version of you. Should be a week where Schlesinger has a boatload of tackles. I'll be curious, if the Ravens try to keep Zay Flowers on Denzel Ward's side, because, this is one difference, in this game that was not here, obviously, in week 2 has been Tyson Campbell. And physicalness at the corner position, the willingness to get a nose dirty and run defense. Tyson Campbell's been a really nice addition. And again, there's storylines here for this Browns team this season that unfortunately are just getting no love, are getting no appreciation because of other legit storylines or conceived, perceived, turning something that is really nothing into storylines. Yeah, I'm aggravated. So this should be a really good test, I think. And, I think the Browns defense, if they can just get a little bit more control of it earlier, and I think they did a good job that week in week 2. But this Ravens defense, there's nothing there that's just overall scaring you anymore. I mean, for so many years, the Ravens team, it was the conversations were always about the defense. And then the offense was kind of like, oh yeah, page 3, the Ravens offense. Certainly that shift began with Lamar, but it's continued with Lamar. Good player, great player. I want what we all want. We just want a team that's going to go out there and between offense, defense, and special teams, just give a consistent effort. It's okay if you're not good enough. And I think we all know that. I think the biggest point of frustration and aggravation for Browns fans and content creators is like you just feel like you put the game on and you're like, all right, well, where is the disappointment going to come from? And I can deal with just not being good enough, but it's all the other nonsense. 4 special teams plays, 2 returns in a matter of minutes, free snap penalties, personal fouls. I mean, you're a team that cannot afford in any way to give up any extra yardage. Discipline. Devin Bush, Cam Thomas last week. Just go out and give us a consistent effort and give me the best version of the offense, the defense, and the special teams all in just 1 week. It's Ravens week. Why not? And maybe they will, because it seems like there's going to be a lot of people who ain't going to be there. 4:30 start, November. Ravens. That Jets lost last week. Going to be really interesting on Sunday. We'll give you a score because we gotta. Baltimore Ravens 26. Cleveland Browns 22. I think the Browns are going to play tough. I just don't think the Browns have what it takes right now to finish. And that's because of all the youth and certainly a lot of inexperience. We appreciate you all. Come out to the OBR Daily over at theobr.com. Obviously, great written content every single day. Go ahead, consume it all for yourselves. Look into the insider package. Ask the insider forums. The insider forums have that subscription bundled with Paramount Plus. And for everybody that comes out nightly to the OBR streaming network beginning at 6 o'clock with Browns 3D, we are always thankful. We are always appreciative. Tell a friend, bring a friend, subscribe for a friend, subscribe on YouTube, and of course, subscribe on Twitch. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound Browns 3D on the OBR streaming network. And we will talk to you all Sunday at 8 p.m.